Are you ready for Sword and Planet Adventures? Actually, I could kind of go for a wine tasting and talk about fashion. That might be nice. Welcome to Captain Samuel's Sleepy Adventures. Gulliver of Mars was written in 1905 by British author Edwin L. Arnold. Its original title was Lieutenant Gulliver Jones, His Vacation. The genre is science fiction adventure. So let's take a look at the book itself first. It's got an action-packed cover by Frank Frazetta featuring two huge beasts fighting to the death. The name has also been changed to Gulliver of Mars, which sounds like John Carter of Mars. And at the beginning, there's an intro by Richard Lupoff, an American author and editor who is an expert on Edgar Rice Burroughs. In his introduction, Lupoff claims that Edgar Rice Burroughs read Lieutenant Gulliver Jones, His Vacation, and it gave Edgar Rice Burroughs the inspiration for Princess of Mars, written 7 years later in 1912. Lupoff goes further than that, though. He implies that Edgar Rice Burroughs copied the story of Lieutenant Gulliver Jones beat for beat, and that this is the original but less well-known true beginning of the Sword and Planet genre, and not A Princess of Mars. And when I read that, my mind was blown. I was like, oh my god, did Edgar Rice Burroughs really copy this unknown British author? Wait till BookTube hears about this. But I'll tell you right now, this is not A Princess of Mars or Sword and Planet. Everything about this book, from the intro implying Edgar Rice Burroughs stole Edwin L. Arnold's idea, to the Frank Frazetta cover and the title change, is just marketing to catch the interest of Edgar Rice Burroughs fans. And it worked. My library book sale made 50 cents off of me. In terms of the story itself, Lieutenant Gulliver Jones is a United States Navy officer, and one night he's moping around the city because his command wouldn't promote him and transfer him to be closer to his girlfriend Polly. Sad violin for you, mate. A guy crashes a magic carpet and dies, and Gulliver inherits the magic carpet, which transports him to Mars. The Martians are just like people, except they speak a different language, which they teach Gulliver using telepathy. They are a meek, hedonistic people who spend most of the time drinking alcohol, sleeping, eating, and having sex. And they are the vassals of the woodland Martians, who show up once a year to collect a tribute, which includes the most beautiful Martian woman. Through a rigged lottery, Gulliver is arranged to be married to the Martian princess Heru, who, of course, is abducted by the woodland Martians. Gulliver then travels across Mars to rescue Heru and encounters some interesting scenarios, such as a nearly frozen river where the Martians send their dead on ceremonial rafts, a jungle full of carnivorous plants, and a comet that passes by, roasting the planet's surface. Now, you might hear all that and think, oh, that sounds like Sword and Planet to me, and it sounds pretty good. What's the problem? Well, there are a lot of them. First is the pacing. The first half of the book is Gulliver wandering among the hedonistic meek Martians. It's basically him having a wine tasting, going around tasting different types of alcohol, sleeping, reading books, and having conversations with people about the color of the clothes they wear. The first half of the book reads like a wine tasting event, full of the dull conversation of vapid-rich socialites. I also had a hard time caring about the romance between Gulliver and Princess Heru. The only scene they really have together is when they're in the ancient library. Now, Heru wants Gulliver to explore her Martian canals, but Gulliver has got this interesting book that he would rather read. And so she has to pester him to get his attention, and when he does finally agree to do the Red Planet Rumble, he only does it reluctantly. So why does he run off to rescue her? He doesn't seem like he's that interested in her, like he'd rather just, read his books at the library. And that brings me to the ending. When my hands are on my head, you know I'm spoiling the ending, and you can skip ahead for a few seconds. So yeah, that's how it ends. Gulliver lost the princess in the first place because he was too drunk and sleepy to protect her from the woodland Martians, and when he finally brings her back after all these adventures, he gets drunk and sleepy again, so the woodland Martians kidnap her a second time. He tries to fight them off, but is like, this is too hard, I'm out of here. He finds the magic carpet and flies back to Earth in the middle of the fight to save Princess Heru. Back on Earth, he meets his original girlfriend, Polly, and is like, "Oh, hi, baby. I love you. Never mind, I reluctantly had sex with a Martian princess in the library, but will you marry me?" And Princess Heru is never saved and is forgotten about. Pointless endings are the worst endings. They really, really are. There's also a lot of ideas that are introduced and never fully fleshed out, but the biggest one is Mars itself. Mars is uninteresting. It could be any foreign country on Earth. Edgar Rice Burroughs populates Mars with four-armed green swordsmen, and the lower gravity gives John Carter super strength. Nothing about this story feels like Mars. It's just a name, empty window dressing. Now, I've been hard on this book so far, but there was something I liked about it a lot. The prose. It wasn't quite as good as Lord Dunsany, but it was definitely in that ballpark. It was witty, sarcastic, and poetic. And here's my favorite line from the book. This is where Heru and Gulliver are in the library, and Heru wants to get a little bit of romantic action with Gulliver, but he's ignoring her, and she's trying to persuade him. So she says, "What, after all," she said, growing bolder at the sound of her own voice, "what, after all, is the musty reticence of gods to the whispered secret of a maid?" Yeah, man, that's some good prose right there. So, on the whole, Gulliver of Mars was an interesting read in an academic sense, but its various problems make it clear why A Princess of Mars is hailed as the seminal work of the Sword and Planet genre. I give it 2 stars. I recommend it if you have a historical curiosity about the genre, but otherwise you can pass on this. Hope you're doing well. Thanks for watching.